What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Beyond ARTV and another installment of The Think Tank. Today up for discussion is quality over quantity in music, a problem that I feel is growing more and more prevalent. It's something that we see. Think about your favorite artist or band, and think about how maybe 10 years ago you might see a new single, a new album, or perhaps a new EP every 2 to 3 years, and how fast forwarding now to 2019, we maybe see a rapper, a singer-songwriter, or even a band turning over new material every 6 months, every few months, every 3 to 7 months. I don't know exactly the right time frame, but people are dropping so much music these days, and even bands that require more production, more time to focus in on lyrics, getting certain parts right, are feeling the pressure, are feeling the labels and the fans breathing down their necks, so to speak, and saying, drop more music now. Now, this problem has obviously been fueled by the fact that, sure, the artist or band can connect directly with their fans via social media. That is a blessing and a curse if I have ever seen one, because sure, an album gets announced, the artist is all excited, and they maybe do a mysterious reveal and everybody's in on it, but what happens after the 7-day countdown and the single is finally here? Already, fans are screaming and shouting, saying, give us more. And as much as people can say they don't read the comments or the replies or whatever it is, they absolutely do, at least some of it, and you know that it affects possibly the artist and also the outcome of the material that they're working on. Now, for example, you can see a group like Migos in the rap world that are consistently dropping really long projects, especially even the solo projects that each member, Quavo, Offset, and what's the other one's name? Takeoff, are all releasing music in a very short span of time. The Culture albums, apparently Culture 3 is on the way, and they've been dropping those like once every year, and then the solo projects. And you look to the quality of the music, and it's simply not there. Now, even though I can admit that it's not always my cup of tea in general, I also admit that you can kind of cherry pick off the good songs from each project, the ones that are fun, enjoyable, bangers, whatever. But also, you have to realize that so many people like this are taking advantage of the streaming platform. They're gaining the system so that they get more streams on more songs so that their album has a chance of debuting higher on the charts. And that's exactly what's working for a lot of people. Now, gaining the system like this isn't a fair thing, but it's also not something that you can necessarily crack down on, because Billboard can't go, hey, Juice WRLD, you know that 20-plus song project that you just put out? Well, there's a new rule where we're only going to count 15 songs. They can't just do that because they can't be the judge of the quality themselves. Even if they review music, they can't say, well, this doesn't work for our formula. So there's always going to be a way that people can gain the system, even though they put extra measures in place to say, you know, we're going to try and stop this by not giving as much weight to the streams, but still. Now, this is going to be a two-part discussion, so we'll focus more heavily in part 2 on social media and streaming and the distracted era of music where everybody is multitasking and mainly listening to music in the background. It sucks, but that's the way it is. But circling back to the main topic of this video, quality over quantity. I feel it's starting to become a bit of a lost art in the world of music. It's something that, for me, I can look to somebody that I'm hoping for new music from, like Green Day, The Killers, Taylor Swift, Kings of Leon, whoever else. And I think to myself, wow, I hope they put out something new soon. But then I kind of internalize that thought. A lot of times, maybe sometimes I'll shoot out a message on social media, but I feel like the tendency even a decade ago was to just quietly and patiently wait and hope. And now it's turned into kind of almost threatening demands. Just look to the band Waterparks, for example. They just dropped an album, Entertainment, in January of 2018. Well, when Austin, the lead singer, and the rest of the band kind of announced on Instagram that they were working on new material, maybe they're in the studio in 2019, people are screaming in the comments section saying, oh my god, it's been so long, finally they're giving us new music, it's about time. And I'm thinking, it's barely been a year. It's barely been a year, and we're already pressuring bands like this to drop more material now. Give it to us. When people haven't even had time to be inspired, for example, if you're touring on the road immediately after dropping the last album, and now you're already back to the studio, what's your inspiration other than driving around in a tour bus, playing those songs, and getting back to work immediately? It can really burn people out, and it happens to YouTubers, it's going to happen to musicians and bands as well. The phrase quality over quantity in general refers to the quality of the album, the EP, the single. We want you to make your best work rather than focusing on releasing tons of stuff. Weezer is an unfortunate example of this because they've been experimenting for quite some time now. In fact, they were kind of ahead of the curve in some ways, saying, you know, we want to drop as much as we can. We're putting out all of these albums. And they did so, starting back in like 2001 with the Green album, all the way through Hurley in 2010, and even coming back with Everything Will Be Alright in the End in 2014 and releasing so many albums since then. Some of the stuff is great, but a lot of the stuff is mediocre, bland, and very forgettable, and it seems like they're just having ideas and instantly recording it and putting it out into the world. Refinement is an important process in the art of making music. It's something where you need to cycle through the tracks, figure out which ones are really working instead of just releasing everything. If you do that, then you're just becoming the next rapper or singer-songwriter or band that's bloating their track list for the sake of streaming. I think the ideal cycle for music depends on the genre that you're in. Pop can have a quicker turnover, so can rap, just because it's easier to make. But I would say even a year and a half to 2 years is totally fair. Nothing quicker than that, because a lot of times everything gets lost in the mix. Unless you're feeling super inspired, a lot of people will point to Ariana Grande because she had a ton going on in her life, so she released more material. But also, what about the stuff that could have just been packaged together and worked into one album instead of having two? Well, obviously there's financial reward and incentive there, so people are going to capitalize on that. But I feel like outside of pop, rap, maybe even singer-songwriter stuff, I feel like maybe a 3-year turnaround time is more appropriate. Now, it obviously depends on the band, and you can't just say, oh, there's one set time, and you do it like this. Certain bands do it that way, I think to 3 Days Grace, Muse, bands like that, they seem to be on a 3-year cycle, and good for them for dropping studio albums so consistently. But not everybody always works the same way. I say release when you're feeling inspired, when you're feeling incentivized to write material because you're actually passionate about it rather than just putting something out and seeing if it lands. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to try different things, but also, I think at the core of it all, as an artist, they should be focusing on the quality. I feel like it's kind of a loaded question to ask about quality over quantity or quality versus quantity, however you want to phrase it, because at the core, I think a lot of us would always want to hear more material. But I also think we can agree that an artist turning out work very quickly, or maybe when the inspiration wasn't really there, or they weren't intending to make an album, like Panic at the Disco, Pray for the Wicked, for example, that wasn't initially supposed to be an album, but the label kind of said, hey, you know, you made this song, so go ahead and make an album, and we can capitalize on that and get some big checks. What do you guys think about quality over quantity in music? Do you feel that it's suffering as of late? Do you find yourself kind of clamoring for more? Or are you on the patient side of things and you can understand when an artist needs to take their time? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Part 2 of this discussion about social media affecting people's attention spans and ability to pay attention to music. That's coming very, very soon. Drop a like on this video and see a couple of recent Beyond videos right over here. Social media can be found in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for more on Beyond ARTV.